Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. I'll just move that out the way. Lovely. I hope everyone can see that. Thanks for joining the webinar. I know it's a bit of a pain because this comes around once a year, and by the time you come around 12 months later, then it's maybe not quite as clear as it was 12 months ago as to how to do the licensing. On the plus side, those who have been around at us for a while now will know that licensing is, well, it's different in terms of getting the licenses, but the licensing is a lot more stable in the software than it maybe has been in the past. So that's a plus side. Just so you know, we've got a bunch of help guides that can help you through the licensing process. There'll be a link in the chat, and we'll give a link to everyone who has signed up for next year as well to these help pages. But for the purposes of this seminar, do take notes if you want to. But pretty much everything that I'm going to be saying is included in these help documents. And so it may be more beneficial to have a look on the screen first. I'll come back and have a look at these help documents a little bit later on. But first of all, if you're wanting to license the software, the first thing you want to do is to grab a license. So you need to go to the licensing portal, and this will be what you're confronted with. If you have a username and password, great. Jobs are good and they'll still work. If you've forgotten password, then of course you've got the forgot your password link. If you don't have access here, the one thing you don't want to do is click on this request access button, because that goes to Hexagon, and it's us here at Geospatial Insight who are actually have the power to grant you access. So instead of doing that, if you want access, or you want to have someone else have access to the licensing portal, send an email to us at support@geospatial-insight.com, and we'll be able to sort you out from there. Once you, if we do that, then we'll send you an email with saying that you've got access, but you'll have to come here and click on the forgot your password link to actually pick up a password once you do that. But once you do that, then you'll have access. And so let's log in and see what it looks like. Oh, I'm going to the landing page. If you do that, then under Geospatial is the licensing portal. Okay, as your contact in the UK, we have access to all your accounts. And so this is our account here at Geospatial Insight, but we can effectively log in as you. I'm going to say thanks very much to Dave at the University of Ulster, because I'm going to use him as an example. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to heap praise on him as well, because if we have a look at what's been happening over the last year, you can see that all the licenses are really nicely annotated. You've got the right department, you've got a tag for the people who are there. And yeah, so we've got a server license here of about 150 seats, and then individual seats across the rest of the for individual laptops, either of staff or students. And so that's really nicely tagged, and I'll show you how we can do that, so you can keep tabs on where the licenses are and who's been licensed. I'll just show you the download software now. So a little while ago, download software was kind of freely available to the public. Hexagon decided to lock it behind the licensing portal. And so if you do want to download the software, well, here's the download software link. And for next year, the product name is going to be Remote Sensing for Edu term. That's a change in name and a change in a little bit of what's contained within that package. We want to pick our version. I would strongly recommend you pick the latest version. Slightly annoyingly, Hexagon run two different version kind of names side by side. You've got the official version, which is 16.8, and then the name of the software, which is Erdas Imagine 2023. And so they're equivalent, but yeah, always go for the latest version. If there's a problem with the software, then the first thing we'll say is please update to the latest version, and then see if the problem is still there. So it kind of save time for everyone, and you're getting the version with all the bug fixes and the latest functionality within there as well. Once we've selected the version, we go through, just make sure it's the same thing, and then click on Next. And it pings up with a list of links to the software that is available. And so we have the geospatial licensing for Linux, for Windows, the core Imagine software, and then things you probably won't want. Condor's distributed processing, it's open source distributing processing program, probably won't want that. And ER Mapper, even if you're a huge fan or have a huge fan of ER Mapper, please use Imagine. It's got all the ER Mapper functionality in it, and it's just way more productive using Imagine. So most likely the two things you'll want to download are the geospatial licensing and the Imagine. This is version 16.8.1. It'll always be the latest version that's listed here, and so the second update is coming out pretty shortly, and so that will be listed in the software downloads when it does come out. Just as a little aside, if you are making the software available to students and staff, I'd recommend downloading the software from here and then hosting it locally and providing people, students or staff, with a link so that they can pick it up from your site. That's absolutely fine if you want to do that. To download, it's just an HTTP download, so you just click on it and it'll start downloading within the browser. Quite a large download for the core package, but yeah, it all works. Okay, so if we want to generate a license, here's the stages that we need to go through. First of all, you'll click on Generate. And then it'll always be Create Activation Keys. And click on Next. And then here you have an option to generate hard copy file-based .lic licenses. This used to be the way that they were always generated in the past. More recently, we've switched to activation codes. And unless you have no contact with the internet, I'd strongly suggest that you use the activation codes and not the .lic file-based licenses. They're still there primarily for our friends in the military and other secret squirrel organizations who very much do not have machines hooked up to the internet. So just in general, please use the activation keys. We want to license a new version here. So the version we're going to use is 16.8. I'm just going to create one. There's 500 available. And then in here, I'm going to type in JJS test. That's me, department, we can go for that. And then the contact, I think we've got, yeah, support team here as well. And so that's all for that page. We click on Next, and then just before we actually create the license, there's a confirmation that that's what we want to do. And we do. And now I have an activation key. It'll also be emailed to you, but you can, if you want, just copy and paste that activation key from here, and that'll work just fine. And then also under the main product, then you'll have the listing for that license that we've just created there. Right. There are other options here as well. If you want to rehost or return a license, you can do that here. Generally, for Chest customers, not so much of an issue. It very rarely happens that you want to return or rehost because you have 500 seats available, and that's usually absolutely plenty. And so, for instance, if a student wants to have another laptop licensed or wants to change laptop, the easiest thing is just to just generate a new one. Don't worry about rehosting or returning. Consolidate only applies to won't apply to you because you just have the one type of license, and then you can email licenses. But like I say, easy enough to just do copy and paste the activation code. And then if you want to change the attributes of any license, change it to a new department or put a new tag on it, then you can do that there as well. But in general, it's just the download software and generate that you're going to be interested in. So now we have our activation key. I want to fire up the geospatial licensing. I'm going to right-hand click and run as administrator because it's only under administrator that you can change the licensing within the program. And so if I want to add that activation code in, I go to license management and activate licenses. And then I click on add. And then I'm going to paste that activation code we've just generated and put that in. It says it's ready to activate. And then I'm going to click on activate. Now, this is the one time where the licensing program pings back to Hexagon in the States. Once the license has been activated, there's no more check-in across the internet. And so if you want to take the laptop out in the field, you don't have to worry about having any internet access. The license will continue working. So yeah, just the one time where it calls home when we're activating. Click on OK, and then I click close. And now I'm kind of hoping this works straight off, and I'm also not worried at all if it doesn't. Okay, it has worked. Sometimes then we'll get a big red X there, and I'll tell you what we can do if we do that. If I expand this, we're not actually going to see too much because I've already got so much software on here that we can't see the new products that I've just licensed. But trust me, they'd be there. If you want to check what activation codes you have on a license server, then the way to do that is, it's not entirely intuitive, but you go to license management and you go to deactivate and return licenses. And if you click on that, then you can see there's the product that we just generated, and yep, and all the other ones that we have there as well. Actually, I will mention this if it's kind of by the by, and like I say, you probably won't need to do it, but if you want to return a license, then you can do it from here as well. I just select that and click on return. Just in general, though, I find that doing it on the license portal probably works more quickly. So yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. Now then, were I to have had an issue with activating that license or the activated license being picked up by the local license server, then the quick fix, or the fix that works in 90% of cases, is to go to service management, and I'm going to stop the license server. And there we go, it stops there. And then I just go to recreate local license source. And what that does, it flushes out any old files that might be hanging around and recreates them, and then stops and restarts the server, and then it pings back into life. And like I say, if you do get a red X there for any reason, then that is the quick fix for getting the license server working again. If you have a license server and you want to reference that license server from client machines, okay, so individually you can do it through here, and we go to license sources and add concurrent license source. You put in the name of your license server there, either the IP address or the kind of real world network name of it, and click OK. And then this the client machine will talk to the license server and go and pick up a license from the license server. There's things that can get in the way of that, and principally that is as if the license server is running more than one suite of licenses, and very typically it's Esri licenses that conflict with Hexagon licenses. They both run on Flex, and in which case you have to, or you'd want to specify particular port for the licensing daemons. And all of that, how to do that, can be found in our help documents. And I'm just going to ping back to there right now. Bear with me while I just go through a couple of things. We have a document here which is especially for you guys, for our chess customers. This hasn't happened so much at all recently. Maybe my message is getting through, but please don't issue all your 500 seats to one license server. You generally don't need that many on for a classroom, and if you do that, then you're kind of out of licenses to assigning to individual students. And so, 100, 200, absolutely fine, and that leaves you plenty of licenses to reissue or give out individually. If I have a look at what's listed under chess, then we have that. We have the guide to the license portal, which is basically what I've been going through up until now. And so all that is linked in there. We have the licensing, how to apply the activation key or the .lic file. And again, that's what I've been looking at on the licensing management tool. And so that just steps it through there. And this is where we are talking about adding a concurrent license source. While I'm here, this might be useful. If you have a bunch of machines in a classroom and you want to link them all up to a license server, you don't have to go around each one individually. You can just click on this link here, which will take you to a Hexagon help document. And that basically tells you all you have to do is create a text file and push it out to a particular location on all those client machines, and then it'll automatically pick up the license server from there. So that's pretty handy if you've got a lot of individual client machines you want to license from a license server. But also here is a link to the ports and firewalls document. And I said 90% can be potential issues with the licensing can be solved by recreating the local licensing source. Pretty much all the other problems can be sorted by going through this document fairly methodically and creating the rules required within your firewall program to let the licensing program through the firewall. Yes, so I think if I go back to here, just check I've been through that. Yep, I think that concludes my tour through licensing of Erdas Imagine. And I hope that's been helpful. And I guess now we can have a look and see if there's been any questions around what I've been showing you that, or if anyone does have any questions, now's the time to fire them out.
We've had one question from David, Johnny.
Okay.
Anything on the licensing side to highlight to the site transitioning from the outgoing chest agreement to the new one?
Now, I can't remember whether I put that in my help document or not. If not, I'll update this. Probably not explicitly, David. I'll add a note in here to say that you should be using the latest software. And that's a good point, actually, because with the latest version, with version 2023 of Erdas Imagine, then you do need to use the latest version of the licensing software, or at least this version or higher, let's say. Yeah, if you're going up to version 2023, then you would need to replace the current geospatial license admin tool that you have on any licensing server. Good point, and I'll make a note in that license guide.
Okay. Do we have any more questions from anybody? Rose, we'll make sure you get a link of today's session. So thanks, Johnny, for the presentation. I hope you all found it beneficial.
Lovely. Harry, can I just dive in? Sorry, I've got one more thing I've got to say. We are here for licensing support, and if you do have any problems, then just do please email. But we're also here for just general product support as well. And so I know most of you guys are going to be administrators rather than the actual users of the software, but if anyone does have a question, then please do feel free to get them to shoot it through to our support email, and we'll be able to help them with the actual software as well. Sorry, Harry, thanks.
Can we see if an individual user has accessed the license?
Is there a logging system on the so the licensing log, the Flex licensing log, will show who's connected, and that will probably be just the activation ID, but you can link the activation ID back to an individual user. And so in one of those documents and the troubleshooting, I think I've got there's a link to where the standard install licensing log goes. I think it, off the top of my head, I think it's in program data somewhere. But yeah, on that log, you should be able to see who is accessing the licensing on the server.
Okay, brilliant. Well, if there's no more questions, I'd like to thank you all for attending the session. Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Cheers.